Today we're in Texas, in not sunny Texas. It's raining a lot, cold. Glad here with Mike from the Green
Car
Car
Congress.
Congress. I'm sorry. And Mike is one of the people that you find in these media events. Not like me, that I just see the superficial things. But he's like really into the science of things, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. So a very interesting point of view when talking about cars. So we were talking on the drive up here from Austin to outside here, a pizzeria here on the new Volkswagen Golf sport wagon. We were driving the diesel engine, and like diesel engines have advanced a lot in the technology itself, and the people that most people like me that don't know much about what engineering goes behind it, the one couple things that we notice is like it's quiet now and doesn't produce any black smoke, right?
Right.
So why is that?
Okay, so there have been a couple things to start with. Diesel's a great fuel because it has more energy content than gasoline, which is why you get better fuel economy with diesel, basically. But historically, diesel had those two problems that Javier mentioned: the sound, the noise, and the smoke. But with advances in the engine technology, particularly in the control system, the software that actually controls the injection of the fuel into the diesel, and in the injection systems themselves, which have become higher pressure with multiple injections for each cylinder for each combustion event, they've reduced the noise significantly. Yeah. So it's not much louder than a gasoline car now. And then on the other hand, you've got, or for the exhaust, you've got two factors going on. The engines are burning cleaner, partly because of that first set of technology, the controls and the injection system. And secondly, they've got better after-treatment systems. So essentially, you're looking at equivalence between a gasoline car and a diesel car in terms of smoke and pollution output and noise.
So we have driven a couple hours maybe now, 100 miles maybe, and it's raining, so we haven't gone like fast or anything, but like what's your first impression of this car?
I like this is the Sportwagen, the station wagon version of the Golf, and I like it a lot. It handles like the Golf, and they've gotten all these awards lately.
Yeah.
Very, very well deserved. I like diesels because of, well, aside from the fuel efficiency and the rest of that, they're very torquey, so they're fast. The acceleration is good.
So and even if they don't have as much horsepower, they still have a lot of energy to move them, and like they're faster.
Yeah, they're fast. You can kick it and go, and it feels good. It's a fun car to drive.
So a couple of things, a couple of your opinions and theories. Why Americans don't like station wagons, and why Americans are not like so much into diesel cars still? Seems like there are like so many advantages to that.
It's probably and I don't know, but it's
short answer.
The short answer, I don't know, because you're right. I mean, logically, you'd think, yeah, this is great. It's a nice package. The station wagon format's really nice, and the diesel's very fuel efficient. And diesels are great on the highway. That's one thing. So if you're driving a long distance, you get tremendous fuel economy from a diesel, much better than a hybrid. Historically, there may be some memory of when diesels were really loud and smoky, and it's probably just an issue of consumer education. On the issue of the station wagon versus the crossover or the SUV, I don't know. Maybe it's the vehicle height. We were talking about that. And, maybe it's people like to be up high.
Yeah, I mean, we're like just sitting here in one, and we have another one in front of us, like sitting sideways, and it looks really nice. I mean, it's like elegant design. I think that the chrome lines on the top, it's not chrome, it's aluminum on the top with the railing and by the windows. It looks like an elegant car, very European, really, right?
It's a very nice package. Yeah, I like it.
But we were wondering also, like, how many of them are Volkswagen's going to sell in the U.S. So maybe we don't have the answer to that either. But Mike has a lot of other answers for other things. So no, I think you really do, because we were talking about like how much. I mean, your site it's pretty much about technology and the advancements of things, and you were telling me like how in the past 5 or even less, like in the past 2 years, there's a lot of things that have changed in the auto industry to make things better, faster, and like incredible. Really, I mean, like.
Well, one of the things that we talked about was increasingly there are more and more computer chips in
Yeah.
cars, along with sensors, and that allows you to control everything better. And so it gives you better performance from your engine. It reduces the pollution from the engine. It allows you to try to burn fuel in a slightly different way that gives you a better outcome. And that just wasn't possible 10 years ago. And with the advances in the semiconductor technology, their chips are, as we know from our smartphones,
Yeah.
they're getting smaller and thinner and faster. Same thing's happening in cars. So increasingly, so much of the development effort with cars is not just in the engines and the hardware and the mechanical things of the car, but in the software and in the computer programming. And that's opened up the possibility for things changing pretty quickly.
Yeah, which is great for consumers, right? Because
Absolutely.
I mean, like we are seeing technologies in cars that are just fascinating, like big topics trending now in the automotive industry, autonomous driving. I'm sorry,
Mm-hmm.
and like more technology in the car, connectivity, and all those things that are just happening like so fast, and we didn't see in a car 5 years ago. Now everybody expects to have them, like because they're there somewhere.
That's right. Well, it's going to be an interesting balance because the auto industry traditionally is very conservative about putting something out new because they don't want to have to do a recall that costs
Yeah.
them a boatload of money, and they don't want to have safety issues. And the consumer electronics industry is not so concerned about that. I mean, we all know we get a new computer, a new operating system. There's problems, and you go through.
And you change it every 2 years.
And you change it every 3 years. So there's going to have to be a balance that
Yeah.
gets struck between the ability to quickly upgrade something in software in a car and the traditional automotive values of we want this to be safe, it's got to be consistent, and so on. And that's gonna it'll be interesting to see how that works
I
out.
read recently a story about a marketing study, obviously. So I have doubts about that, but anyway, how like really like the smartphone industry and like the rate that we exchange the phones has affected the rate that people buy in cars because they say, okay, 2 years, I need a new one.
Interesting. Oh, that. Yeah.
So I mean, and that ties up with what you were
Yeah.
saying because like the telecommunications and all these things are changing so fast, and we want the latest faster and faster. So I guess that's good for the auto industry in terms of sales, at least, huh?
It should be, and it also raises the point of the integration of your smartphone
Yeah.
into the car. I mean, traditionally the automakers like to do their own, I call it human-machine interface, the HMI. You know, there's a look and feel that, like Apple has a look and feel for its
Yeah.
for its phones. Car makers the same thing, but increasingly people want to use their phones
Yeah.
to plug it in.
So you think that's going to happen eventually? Because I mean,
Yes,
people want that. I mean, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter what an executive in Germany or Detroit or Japan thinks. I mean, if people are asking for that, that's what's going to happen, right?
exactly. And you know, for all the talk about Apple, you know, there's all these rumors about Apple doing a car.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're going to do a car. That's not the kind of business they're in. But the software that creates the look and feel and the performance of the car, that's a different issue. And that would be that might be something they could be quite interested in.
So, I mean, again, like theory, what would you think one of the examples would be like in an Apple application for the car? I mean,
Well, let's you know,
theorize.
we will speculate. We could say, suppose you've got your future iPhone, your iPhone 7 or 8 or 9 or 10.
Yeah.
And you've got it programmed the way you like it, so you've got your apps, and you interact with it in a certain way. Well, you come into your car, you put it in its console slot. You wouldn't even have to have a USB plug or the little cable that Volkswagen still has in its car.
Yeah, Volkswagen for a reason doesn't have USB ports in the Golf, but that's another story.
But you'd sync up, and your car interface that you get on the screens that are now your nav screen in the car and the media screen and the phone screen would be just like your Apple phone. And you'd have your personalized settings in your phone, and the car would
Recognize
the
it
car
and
would
read
recognize it. So from a user interaction point of view, from how you actually swipe and scan and use things, it'd be the same. That's the first step. And there's already software platforms underway that would sort of allow you to move in that direction.
Amazing. So we're gonna continue driving. It's still raining, so we just drove the diesel. Now we're gonna switch to a gas engine car. And in those terms, like we only have like a couple more minutes here, but we were talking also about how the internal combustion engine has like not changed much really in like more than 100 years. But with these new technologies, it's gonna have to change because of mandates from the CAFE standards and all that. So, and making more efficient. So what's the next step? Like, what do you think we're gonna see in the next 5, 10, 20 years as a energy source for cars?
Well, I think you're still going to see gasoline used quite a bit. Electricity, obviously, is a big up and coming source, primarily driven by regulation at this point. Although once we get to the point of having maybe not the next generation, but the generation after battery system, there'll be more widespread demand just because it'll be cheaper, be easier to do. You have the longer range. But you'll have the gasoline. You'll still have the hydrocarbon fuels, gasoline and diesel. You'll have a lot of hybrids because they're quite efficient.
Yeah.
And it's with hybrid style platforms that the automakers are going to be able to achieve a lot of the goals they need to do from a regulatory point of view. And you're going to see some pretty interesting efficiency gains in the engines themselves through the use of new materials in the engines, which allow you to be more efficient, through the use of better software and controls, which allow you to burn fuels in a different and more efficient way, and even in some new engine configurations. Instead of the inline cylinders going up and down that we have, there's some new refined approaches to engines that are out there that have been around for a long time, but we haven't been able to do them efficiently because we haven't had the ability to control them the way we do now. So it's a really rich period for automotive engineering right now.
Yeah, and for sure USB ports in every car.
And for sure USB ports in every car.
So Mike, can you give the website address where people can look for your stuff, please?
Oh, sure, thank you. It's www.greencarcongress.com.
Excellent. We're going to keep driving. We'll see how it goes. Thank you again. Bye.
Este programa fue una producción de National Latino Broadcasting.